Hey everyone, good morning. So today we are going to cover the fundamentals of cloud and couple of basics question related to Salesforce. This is going to be very fundamental and very easy questions, but the catch here is that whenever we get an easy question in an interview, the expectation of interviewer is very high. So because most of the people know the answer of the easy question, so a good candidate explains that easy questions as well in a proper manner. Okay, a good candidate will not take easy questions for granted and try to explain in the best possible manner so that he can fetch out the maximum value out of that question. So whenever you get an easy question like what is Salesforce, everybody will be able to answer that, but very few candidates will be able to impress interviewer with their answer on that question. Okay, so with easy questions our aim will not be to answer them. With easy questions our aim will be to impress the interviewer and answer the question in the best possible manner. Okay, so with that focus we will be covering couple of topics today and basic questions today, and feel free to stop me in between whenever you feel like, or whenever you have anything to add, or feel free to ping your questions on chat as well, and we'll be taking all the questions by the end. Most of us has already joined and we'll keep on getting candidates, that is fine. Okay, so let me also stop the video of mine and share the screen. Okay, so I shared a sheet with you all yesterday. I hope you guys are able to see my screen. I shared a sheet with all of you yesterday on which we'll be adding questions based on the topic we are discussing so that we can discuss questions. Whenever needed, we'll open the Salesforce org and show you as well. But that is the on-demand thing. Okay. So we will start, and you need not to take notes anywhere. Okay, because I will be providing you notes for these topics, and wherever I feel that I don't have notes, I'll let you know, so that if you want to take notes you can take, but for this topic you need not to take notes at all. Okay, you will be getting all the notes. Okay, any doubt guys before we begin? Cool. Okay, so the very fundamental question comes from a Salesforce developer, most of the time from freshers, is what is cloud, and what are the advantages of it, what is the cloud computing. This question comes in different format. Okay, but the main thing they want to understand is that whether you want to understand what is cloud or not. Okay, so it's a very easy question, and most of the people are able to answer these questions, but we will answer it in the best possible manner. Okay, so cloud is the term used to describe a global network of servers, each with a unique function. The cloud is not a physical entity, but instead is a vast network of remote servers around the globe which are hooked together. Now, I'm not saying that you need to say the same exact definition. Try to find out your own exact definition on how you want to describe cloud. But what I want is that whenever somebody asks you what is cloud, you should not be blank, or you should not just say that cloud is somewhere network in the internet. Don't say the disrupted answer. Try to have a framed definition for questions like these, because that impresses the interviewer, rather than the disrupted answers where you say that it is not physical, it is internet. So many people say that it is internet, it is over internet, and um it is not a physical thing, but they never actually say the clear definition of it. So it's a global network of server. Okay, it's a vast network of remote servers around the globe which are hooked together. It's not a physical entity, and each network will have a unique function. Okay. Then comes the question, what is the cloud computing? Okay. So cloud computing is on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power, without direct active management by user. Okay, so we do not manage all those data servers and networks. Large cloud often have functions distributed over multiple locations, each of which is a data center. So obviously, even in the Salesforce as well, there are data centers which are distributed all over the globe. There are different servers. So let's say for North America, they have different server. For Asia Pacific, they have different servers, and They have distributed it. It is not in our control. It is not in our hand to control our server or from which server we want to get connected. It is completely dependent on Salesforce, and they will take care of it on their own. You need not to be worried about it, like where your data is getting stored. There could be multiple data centers across the globe where your data is getting secured, data is getting stored. But what they assure you is that your data is secure. You need not to be worried about that, and your data will not be shared with other customers. Okay. So what is cloud and what is cloud computing? These are two basic, very basic questions, but sometimes when we get these questions in an interview, we feel we do not have words to describe that. Okay, so do practice that. If you get this question, how will you answer that? Okay. Characteristics of cloud is also sometimes whenever cloud term will come in the picture, they may go in detail and ask a couple of other things like what are the main characteristics of cloud. So cloud has a wide variety of advantages as well. Like you need not to be worried about the physical entities of servers and data centers and all, and it saves cost, is it processing speeds also increases. But when we talk about characteristics, we say that uh, it's broad network access, uh, multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is one of the major characteristics of clouds. And sometimes we also get a direct question, what is multi-tenant environment in Salesforce? We will cover that shortly. Okay. And security is enhanced, sustainability is also increased because there is no physical things to install on your premise. Okay. Resource pooling happens, so depending on what resources are available, resources pooling can also happen. So there are a couple of major characteristics of cloud. Go through them, create your own notes if you feel like creating, because see, no definition will fit in your category better than your own definition. So what I always suggest students is that try to create your own definition for the thing you are not very comfortable with. Okay. So I also normally create my own definitions whenever it comes to explain something properly, and that is what I suggest you guys as well. Okay. So we talked about cloud and cloud computing. There was a term called multi-tenant environment. So let's talk about multi-tenant environment. Okay. Again, freshers do get these questions, and sometimes even the experienced people can get it. I'm not saying it's only for freshers. So multi-tenant environment is an environment where multiple customers of a cloud vendor uses the same computing resources. Okay, Salesforce is a multi-tenant environment system where there are multiple tenants and they use same resources available over their network. Okay. And you can say that despite the fact that they share resources, cloud computers are not aware of each other and their data is kept totally separate. Okay. So from the name itself, it is very clear that there are multiple tenants, they use common resources, but their data remains separate and they are not aware about each other. Okay. So these 4 or 5 things you need to explain when they ask about multi-tenant environment system. Sometimes they ask whether Salesforce is a multi-tenant environment or not. You will say, yes, definitely it is a multi-tenant environment. Okay. There are a lot of advantages of multi-tenant environment. It is cost effective, it is scalable, it is more secure, there is no maintenance charges. Okay. So obviously it's cost effective, scalable. Yes, whenever you want to scale up, you will just need to contact Salesforce and they can increase your license or enhance your license type, addition type, whichever you are using. So scalability completely depends on you, how much you want to scale up. It is very secure because Salesforce is monitoring everything. Their data centers are secure, their networks are secure. Uh, there are so many engineers working on those networks and data centers to make sure that your data is secure, networks are up and running. Okay. And obviously, if you are not setting up anything on your premise, then there is no maintenance fee as well. Okay. So you will save that as well. Sometimes we get question like, how will you make sure that your networks are working fine or not? So It's status.salesforce.com. You can go to status.salesforce.com to check the statuses of your instances. You will need to just paste your instance ID, and by clicking on that, you will be able to search the current status of your instance. Okay, so if you go to the home page of it, you will see the status of uh, all the instances depending on the type of service. So you can see these all are the different uh, networks available, APs for Asia Pacific, and they have recently changed it a lot. So now there was NA for North America. Now you can see that there are so many from the India name, from the USA name itself. So they have done a lot of network change recently. So this site is basically used to check the notification. If there is any performance degradation going on, you will see this symbol in front of your server name. Okay, so how do you get your server is if I log into salesforce.com. Okay, do I need to log into company? Just a second. You go to the company information from your okay, so see, sometimes your company will ask you, don't we get the automated notification when something goes wrong? So there is an option, subscribe to notification. You can subscribe to, and whenever something goes wrong or any performance degradation happens, you will get an email from the Salesforce end. Okay. Okay, what is wrong? As I told you, this is a new system, so most of the password are not saved, and I had to separate it from my office work, so that is why I used a different laptop. But anyway, I'll be able to open it anyhow later on. Let me do a last. Leave it. Don't worry, we'll talk about other things. Okay, so we talked about the advantages of multi-tenant environment. There are a couple of risks as well. Okay, Uh, sometimes there are downtimes in the networks and services provided by your cloud provider. That is obviously not your fault, but yet if downtime is happening, then your customers and your business will suffer. So that is a risk. There is also a security risk. There are separate data centers which are not in your control. So you can never be 100% sure about the security of your data. Okay, there have been breaches on the security when the customers were using cloud, but Salesforce tries to make sure that their servers are 100% secure. They are hack free, and they try to implement the latest security features all the time so that their customers data remains secure. Okay, but obviously it is not in your hand, so you cannot 100% say that. So there are obviously security risk associated with it always. Sometimes performance degradation happens, and at that time response time will also be a bit slow. So sometimes you may feel the response time issue, and for few companies this could be a complex solution. So it could be, the complexity could be an additional thing for them to understand and how to implement it. So these are a couple of basic risk associated with it. Now, what I'm trying to say is that whenever you get a question on what is multi-tenant environment or what is multi-tenancy, is Salesforce is a multi-tenant environment, not only tell the definition of it, but also try to point couple of advantages and couple of risk associated with it. Okay, so if you get this question in an interview, try to answer it in mixed manner, like multi-tenant environment is an environment where multiple customers of a cloud vendor uses the same computing resource, yet they are not aware of each other and their data is kept totally separate. There are several advantages of it, like it is a cost effective, scalable, and more secure solution, but there are a couple of risks associated as well, like sometimes there'll be downtime, sometimes security risk can also not be avoided, response time issue we may face. So try to mix it with the advantages and risk associated with it. By that way, you will get the maximum value out of this question. Okay, and I hope this is clear to you. I will also try to put the answers here, but I will also be needing a couple of volunteers to put the answers when I once I explain everything later on when the session ends. Okay. All right. Multi-tenant environment done. Multi-tenant environment is an important question. I also ask this sometimes during the interview. So I have explained it. When I'll take a mock interview, make sure you prepare it well. Okay. Now comes what is software as a service. Now, from the fundamentals of cloud, especially related to the Salesforce question, these questions say software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service are very important. Okay. So software as a service is a service where entire application is managed by a provider via a web browser. Okay, you need not to install any software, you need not to install anything. Entire service, entire application will be provided via a web browser by the service provider. Okay, software update, bug fixes, and general software maintenance are handled by the provider. Okay, and there is no installation required. So Salesforce obviously is a software as a service. We do not need to install anything for it. We just need to log into Salesforce and we'll be able to use it. Okay. But what sometimes people ask is that, is there any other software as a service as well? Yeah, there are so many software as a service. Whatever we use on the web directly, like a Gmail is also a software as a service. Okay. Then comes the platform as a service. Platform as a service is a service where a provider hosts the hardware and software on its own infrastructure and delivers this platform to the user as an integrated solution. So you do not only get the software, but you also get a platform where you can build your own things as well. So Salesforce is also as a platform, act as a platform as a service, because they give you force.com where you can build your own solution and customize it and tender it as what you need from it. Okay, so sometimes they ask, is Salesforce also a platform as a service? You will say yes, Salesforce definitely is an example of platform as a service, and it they gives you force.com platform to build your own thing and build on top of what they already provide you as a software as a service. Okay, and then comes the third part, infrastructure as a service. And there are a couple of examples of platform as a service is Heroku. You can say that with Heroku also you can build your own applications. So what I'm trying to say is that always have another example along with the Salesforce for whatever service you are talking about. Okay, that gives more validity to your answers. You are not only a you're not only aware about Salesforce, but also aware about couple of other things as well, which are software as a service or platform as a service. Okay, then comes the infrastructure as a service. Now, infrastructure as a service, first is Salesforce is not an example of infrastructure as a service, because in Salesforce, infrastructure is not in your control. You cannot control your network, you cannot control your data storage, you cannot control any other thing. Okay, so infrastructure is a service where you are responsible for operating system. Infrastructure is a service which is responsible for operating system and any data, applications, middleware, and sometimes but a provider gives you access to see. So Similarly, what platform gave you is to build something on top of it. Infrastructure, if there is a service which is infrastructure as a service, they will also give you access to the network, servers, and storage. Okay. But Salesforce does not give you those kind of things. So Salesforce is not a infrastructure as a service. Okay. AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud is an example of infrastructure as a service. If you want to know more about infrastructure as a service, try to find more about AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, and how they are infrastructure as a service versus why Salesforce is not a infrastructure as a service. But to cut the long story short, Salesforce is not a infrastructure as a service. Okay. All right. See, I'll mark the questions as green, whichever we have covered, so that we do not miss anything. And later on, we will go through everything. Guys, see, easy questions expects you to explain in better manner. Okay, I'll keep on repeating this until you guys understand the real thing behind it is that whenever you get an easy question, not only about the fundamentals of cloud, sometimes you get easy questions even in difficult topics as well. Okay, but whenever you get an easy questions, you have an extra responsibility to take some or give more efforts to explain the answers. Okay. Okay, now comes the question, what is CRM? Okay, and types of CRM. So, see, Salesforce is also a CRM. Okay, and whenever you get the definition of CRM, CRM is a technology for managing all your company's relationships and interactions with customers and potential buyers. Okay, the goal is simple: to improve business relationships. A CRM system helps companies stay connected to customers, streamline processes, and improve profitability. Okay, now this is the definition, but obviously you will not mug it up. You will have to explain your own definition. Okay, so CRM is customer relationship management system, where it will help companies to do whatever they are doing in the better possible manner. It is very important that you create your own definition for topics like these, because otherwise you will always fumble when you answer these things. Okay, and if you fumble in the easy questions, then obviously it will be bad for the impression part. Okay, and most of the time interviewer makes a early impression about you, whether he is going to select you or not. So it is very important to make a positive, good impression. So, and your own definition will definitely help you to deliver it in a better manner. Okay, now, there are two types of CRM. One is cloud-based CRM, which Salesforce is, and there are a couple of on-premise CRM as well, for which you need. See, you must have seen that many companies have built their in-house CRM. So their in-house CRM is nothing but the on-premise CRM, where they have done everything inside the company and they are using it as the internal tool. Okay, so Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM, and on-premise CRM can be any company's internal CRM they have created for their own use. Okay, when I was working for Paytm, they were using Zendesk earlier. Then they started using Salesforce for a couple of years, and then they internally were trying to create something for their own within the company. So companies developers were working on creating a CRM. Okay, I'm not sure if they implemented or not, because by that time I left the organization. Okay. All right. So types of CRM, what is CRM? I highly recommend you to create your own definition. What I have written, you will obviously get it on the notes. Okay. Okay. What are the Salesforce offering apart from CRM? Okay, we'll talk about this later. First, we will tackle the question, what is Salesforce and what are the advantages of using Salesforce? Okay. Now, Salesforce definition is something which is very common to be asked in an interview from a fresher, from experience, from an architect, from a consultant, from everybody. because Salesforce, I mean, obviously you are giving an interview for Salesforce developer. It can very well be said that you will get this question, or you may not also be getting, like sometimes you'll have to explain what is Salesforce to the non-Salesforce person as well. Okay, so it is very important that you have a clear-cut definition of Salesforce. Okay. Salesforce is a cloud-based software company that provides businesses with tools that help them find more prospects, close more deals, provide a higher level of service to their customers. In short, Salesforce helps companies to do whatever they are doing in better manner. So if a company is in selling, then Salesforce help them focus more on the selling rather than doing the data entry manually, rather than notifying the other business people manually. Salesforce automate all these things so that the sales representative or the sales manager will focus on the actual selling part. This will accelerate their growth, this will save a lot of time, and this will provide a better forecast to their pipeline. If a customer is in customer support, then Salesforce helps them serve their customer in the best possible manner by reducing the time, by automating the interaction, by making sure that no communication is getting missed, by storing each and every information related to customers. So in short, Salesforce helps companies to do whatever they are doing in a better manner. Now, this is my definition, but your definition can very well be completely different, and that is completely okay. But at least have a proper definition. Do not fumble in questions like these, because these are the basic questions and they'll expect you to be bang on these questions. Okay. Okay. Now, advantages. There are so many advantages of Salesforce, and it's a flexible. You can scale it up whenever you want to. You can automate a lot of other things. It is very easy to manage, and it will help you increase the revenue. It is very easily accessible. There is nothing you need to do on your end to be able to make sure that you are able to access Salesforce. So there are various advantages of Salesforce you can think of. You can point out 10-15 notes here, but I don't think you'll be getting that much amount of time. So just note down a couple of 3-4 major advantages you think, and then we will be good to explain that in the interview. Okay, what are the different clouds in Salesforce? Okay, different clouds in Salesforce. See, first major is Service Cloud and Sales Cloud. On top of that, we have Marketing Cloud. These are three major clouds and basic clouds. And now Salesforce has come up with so many other clouds. So you can also coin the terms of new clouds: Financial Service Cloud, Commercial Cloud, Health Cloud, Non-Profit Cloud. So there are many other clouds available. You can mention everything here. Just make sure that whichever cloud you mention, if you know the basics of that cloud, that will be an additional advantage. Because what happens in an interview, whatever you say, sometimes the next question comes out of what you say. Okay, so let's say you said that Health Cloud. He may ask, have you ever worked on Health Cloud? Have you ever worked on Financial Service Cloud? So even if you have not worked on, if you just know the basics, whatever available on Trailhead, then you can at least tell that, no, I did not get an opportunity to work on Health Cloud, but I have gone through the basics of Health Cloud through our own Trailhead, and I'm pretty confident that if I get a project on Health Cloud, I'll be more than excited to work on that project. So you not only answered the question, but you also gave a positive aspect about you, is that you are not worried about the challenge. In fact, you will take the challenge in a positive manner. Okay, so that's how you are going to do it. See, sometimes what happens in an interview is that the moment you give your introduction, that introduction decides the next set of questions. So your introduction should be very much precise. It should have all the things you are comfortable with. It should have all the things you have worked on in your project, and you're ready to answer and tackle the questions related to that. Okay, try not to mention the things which you are not very comfortable with, or at least set the correct expectation. So if you have not worked much on integration, you can pretty much say that okay, uh, I have worked on integration on two projects and it was a basic REST integration, so I'm comfortable with that. But there are a couple of things on integration I want to explore more as well. So you set the expectation that you know the REST integration and you'll be comfortable with the REST integration question, but you have more to explore on that topic. So there is always a scope of improvement on that topic. And even if you're not able to answer something, see, interview is not about answering all the question. Interview is about answering the majority of questions, and how you answer that questions also determines your chances of getting selected. So sometimes out of 10 questions, even if you're able to answer 5 or 6, but you answered them in the best possible manner, then that is a good enough percentage. But even if you are able to answer 8 questions, but your answer is lacking depth, you are just giving one liners, that will not impress interviewer. Okay, so it's not an objective question, it's not an objective exam where you have to just find out the right answer. Sometimes you will have to explain it, sometimes you'll have to use your project related examples, sometimes you'll have to tell him in a manner which is understandable by interviewer. So you have to take some effort to explain an answer. Okay, and that is what we'll be precisely covering in next 2 months. So don't worry about anything today. It is a journey we are going to do in next 2 months, and I'll be telling you each and every possible thing I can tell in order to improve you on the interview preparation part. Okay. So, what are the different clouds available? I will expect any of you to put answers here. Okay. Now, we will come to this later. Now, what are various Salesforce offering apart from CRM? Okay. So, CRM is basically whatever Salesforce do is basically CRM only, right? But they have created different other clouds as well. Plus, during the journey, they have acquired a lot of other companies as well. Okay. So even though everything is almost part of CRM, but if we say that cloud versus other offering, you can say that other things Salesforce has, like field service lightning, like Salesforce has velocity, like Salesforce has MuleSoft. Okay, so they have acquired couple of companies during their journey, and you can put the mention of all such things as well. And traditional CRM is basically service cloud, sales cloud, and marketing cloud. Other clouds are the additions based on the business requirement, based on the industry gap they see. They try to launch a new cloud as well. So initially there was no financial service cloud, right? But they saw that banking clients are very specific. They need a separate data model rather than consultants creating a custom model for a banking client. They came up with the financial service cloud because they saw that there is a huge industry waiting for a CRM tailored just for them. So it was a demand driven launch. Okay, most of the time these new clouds are demand driven launch. They did not launch it just for the sake of launching. They saw a demand, they saw a gap in the market like no other software is covering, then they come up with the new launch on it. Okay. Okay, what is App Exchange? App Exchange is nothing but the marketplace for the apps or different things available on the Salesforce. And App Exchange is a place where you can place your own app as well. So there are companies who creates the managed package and then launch it on the App Exchange for other people to use. App Exchange is basically a marketplace for the Salesforce related things and for Salesforce related tools and functionalities and others. Okay, so App Exchange you can visit, you'll be able to see App Exchange and what are the offerings available there. There are so many tools, and see, whenever you will work for a company, you will have to install a couple of apps from App Exchange in order to see how they are working, in order to see if they are able to fulfill your need or not. So it's a marketplace for the Salesforce. Okay. They'll not expect much in this until unless they want to go very much in detail between managed package and unmanaged package related thing, which we will be covering in the deployment related sections once we go there. Okay. Okay, see, difference between data and metadata will be the last question. I'll not cover it right now. It is easy, but let's go with the order. Okay, so let's talk about agile methodology. Okay, agile methodology is a very important question, and more than technical, it is important in the techno managerial round. Sometimes manager asks you, have you worked on agile methodology? So uh, first you need to understand what is agile versus what is waterfall. So let's talk about waterfall model. Waterfall model is a very traditional software development model, okay, where each phase has a specific deliverables and a review process. Okay, so what happens is that, let's say you have to build an application. So if you are going to do it with the waterfall model, the first step will be to do the requirement gathering. You will not proceed to the next step until you are done with all the requirements on your hand. Okay, so all the requirements you need to deliver as part of this app launch, you will have that requirement everything in prior. And once you get all the requirements, like no requirement will be added later on if you have moved ahead from the requirement end. So whatever you have to build, you will have to finalize all the requirements on the step one. Then you will go to the design step where you will be doing all the design. Then you will go to the development, then testing, then deployment, and last step is maintenance. The problem with this approach is that, let's say you gathered all the requirement and you designed it and started developing it. When you tested it, you saw that there are major flaws. We missed couple of requirements. And at that time, your waterfall model will fail, because you will have to again start from the beginning and again gather all the requirement. It will not be like, okay, we are in the testing phase, but let's add something in the development phase again. That will not work. You will again go back to the step one, which is requirement. So waterfall model is not very good for a large project. And agile model works here, because agile model is something where we'll not have all the requirements in the beginning. Okay, let's say we have to build an app. We will decide, okay, let's go with a beta launch with limited functionality. So we will have limited requirements. We will do designing, we will develop it, we will test it, deploy it, review it, and then again we will go to the phase two of it to improve more things, to add more requirements on, and then again develop it, test it, and deploy it. So agile has a better way of doing if we have a large project and we do not have all the requirements on our hand in the beginning itself. Most of the time, whenever you will build something, you will not have everything on your hand in the beginning. You evolve as you develop all those things. Okay, so you also improvise as per how you develop those things. So agile model is something where we have different sprints. So let's say we have a 2 week sprint, we will have a fixed deliverables for 2 weeks, and then once we deploy that, we'll see, okay, what next on this now. So what features we need to add on it. So we create a base version of it, and then we keep on adding features on it. Most of the Salesforce project works in a agile manner. Okay, and most of the software development on cloud happens in the agile manner. Waterfall manner is more traditional for the software engineers, where we develop software in one go. So in the waterfall model, the requirement phase itself takes 6 months sometimes to gather all the requirements. We do not miss anything. Okay, so that will be the waterfall model versus agile model. I have covered this in my notes, so you need not to worry about writing it down. I will give you notes on it, but again, same thing. Try to create your own definition if you feel that this is not working for you. Okay. So by the definition, the agile methodology is a way to manage a project by breaking it into several phases and then take those phases one by one. Okay. It involves constant collaboration with stakeholders and continuous improvement at every stage. So let's say if we got errors on the phase one, on the phase two, we will also try to improve on those things. We will develop it in a way that we do not get that many errors in the testing phase. Okay. So whenever you get the question, what is agile methodology? Not only explain agile, but also explain why it is an improved version and why it is better than waterfall model as well. That will give more depth to your answers. Okay, cool. So this is done. Any question, guys? Okay. What is the difference between production instance and sandbox instance? Most of you must know this already. The production instance is the instance where, which is the live instance. Your customers are working on it. Your company representatives or whatever you are doing, people are working on it. Salesforce instance, sandbox instance is the replica of it. Okay. So, okay, I have not logged into my office laptop. Okay, tomorrow I'll log in from my office laptop and will show you sandboxes and production both side by side so that you will get to see all these things. Even though I'm not allowed to do that, but just for the sake of learning, I can show you that. But production instance is the instance which is a live instance. Sandbox is the replica of it. We developers create our functionalities in the sandboxes, test it there, and then deploy those things to production so that everybody in the organization can use those functionalities. Okay. So sandboxes are replica of production, but there are different types of sandboxes. Okay. There are full copy sandbox, there are partial copy sandbox, there are developer pro sandbox, there are developer sandbox, there are multiple sandboxes and they have different refresh time. I'll create a note on it to give you the exact difference, but there are various types of sandboxes. So full copy sandbox is a sandbox which is which is the complete replica of your production. So it will not only have the metadata, but it will also have the data of your production. Okay. Whereas partial copy sandbox will also have data, but it will have a limited quantity of data. It will not have the complete data of your production. Okay, so normally we use full copy for the final testing, or you can say the UAT testing, whereas partial copy for the unit testing or the developer testing. Okay, let me know whenever you feel that I'm using a term which is not familiar to you. Okay, and I will obviously break it down and explain to you. Okay. All right. I will not mark it as done. I'll have to. Okay. What are the different releases in Salesforce? Salesforce basically has three releases. Okay. Spring, summer, and winter. Okay. Winter comes around October, September, October. Spring comes around Feb, and summer comes around July, I guess. So there are three releases. You can see that in the Salesforce standard documentation, and the release which is due on is spring. I think that will come on February. Less than a month remaining for that. Recently, I got a mail reminder saying that now less than 1 month remaining for the Spring 24 release. Make yourself ready for it. So spring is about to come. Winter just came before spring, and before that there was summer. Okay, so I will write it down in that order: spring, then summer, then winter. Okay, and these releases are very important from the interview point of view. Okay, these are the brownie points. Whenever you go for an interview, go through all the releases which came recently, or at least the major enhancement or major features you saw on that release. Because what happens is that sometimes you get in question that have you gone through the release updates, is there any major release feature available on Apex or on flows or on LWC. Mostly you will get LWC, flows, and Apex related questions, but it is important that whichever areas are your strong areas, go through the release updates on that. So recently, I am working mostly on flows, so I always try to go through the release updates on flows or try to see the new features available on flows so that I can use them on our project, or I'll see a possibility to improve our flows. Similarly, if let's say somebody is working on LWC, they'll be eager to find that out so that they can improve their LWC code. There might be a functionality which they were looking for but was not available earlier, but now it is available. Okay, so release updates are very important, not only from your knowledge point of view, but also from the interview point of view. Always in an interview, go through the release updates and try to list down couple of major features launched. There are so many websites, Pixars, SFBen, which always come up with the good blogs related to release update. Go through them, try to make your own notes so that in an interview or just before the interview, you will be able to revise them. Okay. Yes, Manjunath, please go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah. Question is on the same, like we have a release, right? We also have that pre-release org, right?
Yep.
Can we have some, I mean, details on that, like how the pre-release org will get, how to we can access that?
Where Salesforce notifies that this release is happening and you need to sign up for the pre-release. So you need to request for the access on a pre-release org, and then they will provide you access for the limited period of time for the pre-release org. They will also give you credentials to use it, and then you can use it. You can review the feature, verify the features, because it will not be available in your sandboxes before the launch of it on the sandbox. Okay, so you need to sign up for the pre-release org. You need to request an access for it from Salesforce, and then only they will provide you. Okay. In a company, you will hardly get time to do that, to be very frank. We only go through the release notes and see what are the major features coming. Sometimes we go through the blogs and all to see what are coming. We only check it once it is available on our sandboxes. Okay,
Yeah.
but you can get it, you can get the access to pre-release org, and you will be able to verify all the features which they are saying that they are launching in beta, or they are going to generally make it available.
Now,
Okay.
for example, if we are doing a solutioning, at that time we can present it, exhibit to the client, right? So this is the feature we are coming in the so
Yeah.
and so list. So that will be useful
So
in that case.
what happens is that in companies, there's always a roadmap, okay, where we decide that which features are coming and are we looking for those features, or there is anything we can do with those features. But whenever we propose something to client, we only mention that things which are generally available. We do not mention anything which is in beta, because we're not sure when it will be generally available. And if you say anything to client that this is possible, and once you say it is possible and later on you say that, oh sorry, it was only on beta, they will obviously will not understand this and will say that, okay, you said it is possible and now you're saying that it is not possible. You are not a good consultant.
Okay.
Always mention things which are generally available, and beta are the things which will be available very soon, but it you should not mention it in front of client that it we can do this, because otherwise you will have to do a lot of work around till it becomes
Mm.
generally available. Okay.
But pre-release is something which is going to come immediately, right? Or it is going to be a I mean not scheduled feature.
They will mention what is in beta, they'll mention what is in the generally available list whenever they'll release the release notes, so you can go from the list there, the release.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm. Thank you.
Okay, difference between data and metadata. I was talking about data and metadata when I talked about sandboxes. So data is something, let's say an opportunity. Okay, opportunity, there is an opportunity named ABC. That ABC is the data, but the data behind it, okay, the opportunity name, the field of it, like opportunity name, opportunity status, email ID, and all such placeholders, you can say, are the metadata. So on metadatas you put the data so that you will get the record of it. So record, you can say, is the data, whereas the placeholder value, like the field name of it, is the metadata of it. So opportunity name is, let's say, XYZ, then XYZ is the data, and opportunity name field is the metadata of it. Okay, whenever you get this question, try to explain it with the help of example. See, any question in an interview, if you get, and if you see that there is an opportunity to explain it with the help of example, use it. Okay, don't overdo it, like not do it, don't do it for every question, but if you see that there is a healthy chance that if I use it with the help of example, I'll be able to explain it in the better manner, then try to use that. There are many people who find explaining theoretical question or explaining the definition not difficulty, they feel difficulty in explaining the definition. For those people, explaining with the help of example is a huge boost. So if you find explaining definitions difficult, use examples, and using examples is also a good way to connect with the interviewer on the mental level. Okay, but don't overdo it, don't do overdo it. Obviously, if you'll do it on every question, there are chances that interviewer might get irritated. Okay, okay, what is sandbox? We have covered. Types of sandboxes we have covered. There is one question which they ask is that, can you directly update the Apex class in the production instance, and what you can do directly in the production, what you cannot do directly in the production. So we cannot update the Apex class directly in production. The way is that we will do it in the sandbox and deploy it in the production. But can we mark, let's say there is a workflow rule, if it is, can we deactivate it in the production? Yes, that is possible. We can also change the VF page directly in the production, but a good developer will never do that. Okay, so what you can do in production, what you cannot do in production, there can be a question related to that topic as well, and you need to be very mindful when you answer it. And a good developer will never do anything in the production. You once you will get once you will work in the industry, you will see that even if you have to edit a record, forget about the metadata, if you will have to edit a record in my org, I'll have to raise a service now ticket for that, and somebody from business will approve it. Even though I am an administrator, I am not allowed to even edit a record in production. That has to be approved by the business head on this business side. Then only I will have the luxury to edit a record. So a good developer will never do anything in production. There are organizations will have SOX compliance where they will monitor each and every of your activity, which field you click, which data you change, why your last modified name is coming on this field, what you modified. So we have to be very careful with what we are doing. Okay, just for the sake of interview answers, we can say that yes, we can edit the VF page directly in production, but also mention that we should never do that. Okay, many of the students must be feeling that this is very easy. But trust me, easy questions are actually hard in my opinion, if you are not able to explain them properly. Okay, see how to check which editions your org is in. You can go to the company information from setup and you will be able to see that. So the questions which I have not covered, like say editions and different releases, I have covered. is because I want to show you that thing. And from tomorrow, I'll be opening different laptop, which will have all the credentials. In this laptop, I cannot open my office Salesforce, because that has security pass that need to be done on that laptop only. Okay. How does Salesforce handle security? It's a very wide question. It is not a question which should be taken very lightly. Salesforce has a lot of security layers when it comes to data security. They have a record sharing and profile level sharing, OWD, and all such features available. In Apex, they have now field level security as well as sharing security with the help of with sharing and without sharing. So this question will be discussed in detail. This is not a light question which I can explain just by giving a one liner. Okay. But if you get this question in an interview, then you will have to handle it from the data security point of view, and start with it with the record level security, where Salesforce has baseline security as OWD, and then increase security through the sharing rules, manual sharing, role hierarchy, and on the profile level we have permission sets and profiles. And now we have restriction rules as well to restrict a particular user based on particular criteria. So there are a lot of security features available within Salesforce. Start it with the OWD and try to build up your answer on top of that. Okay, but I will explain it more when we cover the record sharing and security part, because this requires a deeper explanation. How to check which edition you are org in, I'll show you tomorrow by logging into org. What are governor limits in Salesforce, and why are there governor limits? Okay, governor limits are basically Salesforce way to protect them. As we are working on the multi-tenant environment, we'll have to make sure that no client is overutilizing the resources, because every client is working on a network. They are using the same set of resources. Okay, if one client will overutilize the resource, then other client has to suffer because of that. Okay, and as the guardian of the multi-tenant environment, Salesforce has to make sure that none of the client are overutilizing the resource, otherwise their networks will also fall. So, to protect the multi-tenancy of their networks, of their servers, Salesforce has put in couple of governor limits, so that whatever we write code or whatever configurations or customizations we do in our org is not bypassing those governor limits. If we do that, Salesforce will not allow that customization on configuration to run on their servers, and they will throw the errors. Okay, so governor limits are the Salesforce way to protect their multi-tenancy. Okay, any doubt in this question, guys? This is a straightforward question, nothing much to be, but try to uh, answer it in a manner which impress the interviewer. Okay, so that's pretty much about the fundamentals of fundamentals of Salesforce and cloud. Tomorrow we will start our agenda by showing you the org and additions of Salesforce, and more about sandboxes, and then we will cover the types of relationship and master detail, lookup relationship, self relationship, junction object. You must have seen the question, if there is junction object which is connected with two masters, if we delete master, which child will get deleted? All such kind of questions we are going to cover. Okay, and then we will cover the data loss. What happens when we change master detail to lookup and all such thing, when data loss happens. And then we will cover the data SQ and ownership SQ, when it happens and what to do when these things happens. So that will be the agenda for tomorrow. And yeah, now let's take questions, guys. I'll stop sharing, and we'll come on camera. I want you guys also to come on camera, whosoever wants to, and let's take questions. Yeah, Harshit has already pinged it on chat. You can access the pre-release org for Spring 24. Thank you, Harshit. Most of you know Harshit via LinkedIn. He is a very active member in LinkedIn, and good to have you, Harshit, here. You guys can connect with Harshit on LinkedIn. He always share very useful resources. Nobody is talking. I'll have to work on this part to make you guys talk.
Uh,
No, data. Okay, let me come to your question, Siki. So you are asking in multi-tenant environment, we are talking about resources. What are the resources apart from the data resources? Not only data resources, we are also talking about computation resources, like the processing power, how much data you can process and how much time it will take. Okay, so processing speed, processing power is also something. Most of you must have got CPU timeout error. That is something when you are not able to complete the transaction within the given time, because it is taking longer than the prescribed limit by Salesforce. So it is not always about data, it is about processing power, processing capabilities, speed, as well. Okay, see all
okay,
the
okay.
resources you have got in Salesforce. You can see the governor limit itself tells about a lot of resources as well. So if you are getting heap size issue, that means your data size is more, okay, in the transaction.
Yeah,
Okay.
hi, Mohit. How to solve that Apex CPU exceed limit?
Mhm.
How to, if I just get
We
that
will
error just
see
before 2 days.
CPU timeout exceeded limit. We will cover in detail, because it is sometimes we get a question, have you ever worked on anything or the most difficult scenario you have worked on. We will see how we can debug the CPU timeout limit with the help of prospective manager, and how we can remove it by moving couple of things to asynchronous transaction by optimizing our transaction. There are few things we can do when we get the CPU timeout limit. The first thing is you will have to optimize our transactions. So whatever things which are taking more time, we'll have to identify those things, and then we'll have to figure out which things are immediately required, which things are not immediately required, and then we can move those things to asynchronous epics as well, so that we save some time there in terms of execution. Okay. uh, what happens is that, let's say I have created an opportunity, and there is a trigger, process builder, flow, everything is running on opportunity. And when I'm updating an opportunity, there is a process builder which is updating the contract. Now contract has its own trigger, process builder, and workflow, but those, whenever we updated the or created the opportunity, that contract got updated, then contract transaction will also start in the same transaction. So contract related process builder flows, everything will work in the same transaction, which will increase the overall time, execution time in this transaction. Now, if contract related things are not immediately required, we can move that thing to asynchronous epics. That will save a lot of time. Whatever contract, trigger, process builder workflows we're taking, we can save that time, and that much CPU time will be saved in our main transaction. Similarly, there are so many other things happen within that transaction. We'll have to figure out what is immediately required, what is not, what we can move to future method, what we can move to platform events, what we can handle directly via change data capture. So on opportunity, if we are changing updating contract, and if we enable change data capture on contract, that can easily be fetched outside of that transaction. So there are various ways to do that. In fact, we will cover more about it later on. Okay.
Yeah, okay, Mohit.
Okay, Swapnil is saying I can share my screen if you want to show production and sandbox instances. Yeah, if I'm not able to tomorrow, then I'll definitely ask you. Thank you, Swapnil. Okay, thank you, Harshit, for sharing the link. And can we say agile methodology and the DevOps environment is kind of similar to one extent? See, DevOps is completely a different thing. It is basically for the deployment, and for the deployment, we can say that whatever pipeline we create and we try to mimic whatever we have, DevOps is basically for the deployment purpose, whereas Agile methodology is to build something. DevOps is a supporting tool, you can say. So I don't think you can mix them, and don't try to mix them as well. Okay, there are a few people who have left because of their meeting. We are talking about it. Okay. Yeah, they moved to Hyperforce. You're right, Manjunath. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I don't think you guys have any question right now, but feel free to put your questions on the chat on the WhatsApp group we have created. That group is going to be a collaborative group where you guys can put any question you have, and I or someone from the group will definitely answer that. So if you guys have any question, feel free to drop your questions on the WhatsApp chat. And if you have anything to discuss with me or you want to talk to me, just put a message on WhatsApp, and whenever I'm available, I will definitely talk to you. Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you,
thank
Mohit.
you, Mohit.
Thanks, everyone. It was lovely talking to you. Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank
I'll
you. Thank you, Mohit.
time, okay?
Thank you. Bye.